Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Kim, and let's just dive right into this cinematic educational lecture where we are going to completely demystify statistics. We'll discover how selecting the exact right measure of central tendency isn't just guesswork, it's a critical tool for uncovering the real story hiding inside your data. Understanding these statistical tools is absolutely essential for anyone who wants to read data correctly rather than just taking things at face value. So, you know how we often assume the word average just means typical? Well, depending on the data you're looking at, an average can actually be a mathematical illusion that completely misleads your interpretation. We see this literally all the time. In the news, in research reports, in financial projections, people love to throw around the word average as if it's this single infallible truth. But what happens when the tool they use to calculate that average was entirely wrong for the job?
Imagine this classic scenario, which brilliantly illustrates the danger. You've got a couple of massive outliers skewing the numbers. An arithmetic average makes it look like everyone is doing just fine, even when the reality on the ground is starkly different. You could have two wealthy gentlemen sitting around, noting that while the poor are getting poorer, the rich are getting richer, so hey, it all averages out in the long run. It's kind of funny, but mathematically this happens constantly. When a couple of extreme high earners pull the numbers way up, a calculated arithmetic average might suggest a booming economy, while the typical person is actually struggling to make ends meet.
So, to avoid these statistical traps, we're going to open up a statistician's toolbox. In this explainer, we'll cover the sheer danger of averages, review the mean, median, and mode, learn how to deal with skewed data, and then unlock the secrets of the geometric and harmonic means. Let's start right at the top by examining the danger of averages and why data literacy truly matters. The crucial takeaway here is that no single measure of central tendency is universally superior. You literally have to pick the right tool for the specific shape and type of data you're analyzing. It's like a giant puzzle. Are you dealing with categories, ranks, or precise measurements? And is your data perfectly symmetrical, like a bell curve, or is it heavily lumped to one side? Your answers to those questions dictate exactly which tool you must pull from your box. Applying the wrong mathematical tool to a problem can completely distort findings and undermine an entire study. Let's rapidly break down the classic trio, the mean, median, and mode, so we have a shared vocabulary.
First up, the arithmetic mean. Now this includes every single numerical value, making it highly precise for normally distributed data. But I want you to think of the mean like a physical playground teeter-totter. It tries to find the exact balance point of all the weights placed on it. And because it factors in the precise value of every single score, it is incredibly sensitive to heavy outliers jumping on one end. Oh, and if certain data points carry more importance than others, say a final exam versus a quick pop quiz, you'd use a weighted mean to give those specific values a heavier pull on that teeter-totter.
Next, we have the median. By focusing purely on position rather than numerical value, the median acts as a sturdy anchor. It is largely immune to the distorting effects of extreme scores. If you line up all your data points from smallest to largest, the median is the one standing dead center. Exactly 50% of the data is above it and 50% is below it. Simple, right?
Finally, there's the mode. This requires no complex calculations beyond basic counting, providing a fast, intuitive snapshot of the most common response in a dataset. If you just need a really quick read on what happens most often, the mode is absolutely your go-to metric.
Okay, so what happens when our basic tools actually fail us? Let's talk about dealing with skewed data.
Picture a memory test where most people score between 1 and 4. In a normal data set, maybe the scores are 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Everything is perfectly balanced. But what if one absolute prodigy takes the test and scores a 19? Well, now we have a skewed data set, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 19. This single extreme outlier violently pulls the arithmetic mean away from the true center of the group.
Because of that one outlier, our calculated arithmetic mean becomes a distorted 5.8. Really think about that for a second. A score of 5.8 is a score that literally no one in the main group even came close to achieving. It totally misrepresents the group. Whereas the robust median remains a highly accurate 3. By just finding the middle position, the median reflects the group's typical performance without getting dragged away by that one genius outlier.
And here's another pitfall. When you're dealing with nominal data, like categorizing types of therapy, calculating an arithmetic mean is mathematically meaningless. I mean, you can't add cognitive behavioral therapy and psychodynamic therapy together and divide by 2. It doesn't make sense. This makes the mode our only functional tool. By simply looking at the frequencies, the mode immediately tells us that cognitive behavioral therapy chosen 45 times is the clear preferred option.
All right, let's upgrade our toolbox and look at domains where the basic trio fails completely. Enter the geometric mean, which is used for measuring growth.
So look at this 5-year investment portfolio. The arithmetic mean suggests you made a 1% average return. You just add those percentages up and divide by 5, right? Wrong. Thanks to that devastating 50% loss in year 4, your actual account value has dropped nearly 17%. If you started with $1,000, you are now down to $831. An arithmetic mean of 1% is incredibly misleading when your money is actually shrinking.
To tackle continuous compounding data series like this, we absolutely must use the geometric mean. This tool correctly calculates that our real annualized average return in that portfolio was actually negative 3.62%. By multiplying the growth factors together and taking the nth root, the geometric mean accounts for the compounding nature of the math. It tells you the hard truth about your investment's actual trajectory.
Next, we pull out an even more specialized tool. Let's look at the harmonic mean, designed specifically for measuring rates.
You've probably heard someone joke, "How do you expect me to average 55 miles an hour if I don't speed?" It's a funny thought, but it highlights a super common misunderstanding of how rates work over time and distance. Averaging rates of speed isn't as simple as just adding two numbers together and splitting them down the middle.
To find the true average rate, we use the harmonic mean. It involves 3 very specific steps. First, calculating the reciprocals of your values, then finding the arithmetic average of those reciprocals, and finally, flipping that result one last time. I know, it sounds like a mouthful of math, but it perfectly balances the relationship between time and distance.
Let's put that into perspective. If you drive 10 kilometers at a brisk 60 kilometers per hour, and then you hit traffic and do the next 10 at a sluggish 20 kilometers per hour, the arithmetic mean falsely suggests your average was 40. But let's look at the time. The first leg takes 10 minutes, the second takes 30 minutes. That's 40 minutes just to go 20 kilometers. The harmonic mean crunches those reciprocals and reveals that your true average speed was exactly 30 kilometers per hour.
Okay, let's bring it all together now. The grand finale, connecting the arithmetic, geometric, and harmonic means. There is this beautiful underlying connection here. For any identical set of positive fluctuating data points, the arithmetic mean will always be the largest, followed by the geometric, and finally the harmonic. We call this the golden inequality rule. It proves that they are mathematically locked together. Also, remarkably, if you multiply the arithmetic mean by the harmonic mean, you get the exact square of the geometric mean. No way, right? They are distinct tools for sure, but they belong to the exact same mathematical family.
So now that you know the difference between these crucial tools, ask yourself a question. When you scroll through the news tomorrow, will you blindly trust the word average? Or will you demand to know exactly which tool they use to calculate it? Knowing when to use the mean, median, mode, geometric, or harmonic mean is exactly what separates rigorous analysis from being fooled by an illusion. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Stay curious and keep questioning the data.